Yama, g'day everybody and welcome.
Yama.
We have g'day Jules, g'day NESES, g'day Luna.
Yama Luna, hey NESES.
How's it going? Hey, let's fix this up. So we have g'day NESES.
Bonjour Anine.
G'day kitty cat.
Say hi, Roxy.
Oh, all right. So today, g'day everyone. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. We have ceremony, ritual, and the flower of life. So we'll start off with the meaning of ceremony. A formal, religious, or public occasion, especially one celebrating a particular event, achievement, or anniversary. The ritual. Ritual observance and procedures required to perform at grand and formal occasions. A formal act of series of acts prescribed by ritual, protocol, or convention. Ta-da! I hope that explains it for everyone. Do you understand what it means now? No. So, okay. So,
Is it always or possibly as simple as that?
No, the preparation can be grueling. So I'll start off here. Here in Australia, when we do a ceremony or ritual, it all depends a lot on the nature and the spirits and time of year and all that kind of stuff. Everything has to be right. We're really sticklers for if it ain't right, we'll just chuck the bucket and go, nah, come back tomorrow. So we can prepare, everyone can get there. If something's out, we'll just go, no, it has to be proper. Everything has to be proper if we're going to do it like that, because out of highest respect for all the things that are taking part in that ceremonial ritual. Even if it's as simple as just a smoking ritual, just for cleansing, if the smoke bucket or whatever you're smoking out of doesn't spark up right, or there's some problem there that says that no one's participating today, you don't do it, just get out of there and come back another day, or that just says that not to do it at all, there's something there that needs a different approach. We're very strong in that way. Other cultures are different. I wish I had someone from a few different cultures to ask, but that's okay. We've got NESES and Jules here, and I've got a few slides, as you saw earlier, and we'll look at them of different ceremony and stuff. Yeah, so what's it like for you, NESES, when it comes to ceremony? Is it tough like we are, where if one thing's out or the timing's not right or the equipment's not right, that you just leave it for another day, or do you push on because that is that particular day?
Well, I'm going to digress since we're going to talk about rituals and ceremonies. I'm going to do a protocol of introduction.
Oh, yes. You got to mind me, I just jump straight in the pool, eh? I'm like, we going swimming? I'm jumping straight in the pool.
So, if I may, Buju, Anin, Nese, Indigenicas, Anishinaabuem, Minowa, Kevin Richard Shores, Indigenicas, Shaganashi Moog, Makwa, Nindundane, Minowa, Nindogichida, Aki, Minowa, Gawababi, Ganikag, and Dunjiba, Minowa, Moorhead, Minnesota, Ngumin Day, Chimigwich, Gichimanadu, Ganikana, Pegish, Minobima, Diziwe, Rian. Hello and hi. Again, Luna, thank you so much for the opportunity to Babylon in Babylon, along with Jules. It's always a delight in my darkness to share thoughts and opinions and feelings and beliefs. And as a practicing Anishinaabe, a born again heathen, I try to utilize the ceremonies and rituals taught to me by my elders and through the experiences of existence. One thing in particular with the Anishinaabe people, it would depend when it comes to ceremonies who is running the ceremony. They would be the individual that would make the judgment call, and they would at times reflect with the other elders about the circumstances. In my experiences, because change is inevitable, to be so rigid is increasing the possibility of breaking. And so, kind of going with the flow is more of the norm. However, we have the full spectrum of individuals that are extremely strict to rituals. And then the other aspect is loose with them. One thing that a lot of Native Americans have are what they kind of call clowns, for lack of a better term. They each have their own words in their language, but they're also the contraries. So you might go to a powwow and you'll notice 99% of all of the individuals are going around the powwow clockwise, but then you'll notice 1% going around counterclockwise, because there is always an anomaly to the cycle. In the universal perspective, as we go back and forth from chaos to order, at some point there will be a disruption of where you are. An example is just the roller coaster of life, where we have its highs and its lows and everything in between. The best suggestion I can give all of universe is keep all phalanges inside the vehicle while it is in emotion.
I agree. Also, you can, like a roller coaster ride, you can scream or you can laugh. I think we do a bit of both.
And Luna, I have to say, I like this. I like this screen better than the other one. You got rid of my Nephilim head.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out the screens. What was the other one? Maybe I should go back and have a look. I'll try and keep it like this for you, Jules. Yeah, it's a bit wider, isn't it? You can see all this stuff in my background. Nothing. You're supposed to see it. Okay, ceremony. I noticed that you said you referred to tight and loose nese, as in strict. Is that where you're referring to, like strict or casual?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we have. I should have brought some stuff. They told me to bring stuff to show you. we have the women in our culture, we have two skirts. The string skirt is the casual one, which would be the non-strict ceremony, and the feathered skirt is the formal one, which would be the strict, very respectful ceremony. So we dress in according to the level of ceremony, and we paint our bodies the same way. There's different paints for different ceremony levels. I presume you would have the same thing?
Well, each individual's regalia is their own. We have kind of basic structures, I guess, or framework of outfits, but the individual is the individual. And so when they go through their experience of life, then it's their experience of life to go through. The only standards that are there is that you, well, to step back a little bit or roll back a little bit, the best way that I can summarize the Anishinaabe way of life is with one word, and it is respect. As long as you are respecting everything, then how can you go wrong? And we have standards of that respect within the community. And when that disrespect occurs, we have the ability of counting coup, or some people call it coop, where you address the issues between individuals or between groups in order to find conflict resolution. And so, there's just a procedure that is utilized for that quest of the entirety finds the positivity, that everybody is added into the equation, and so no negativity is experienced. And when it is experienced, what do we do to transform that negativity into positivity, or minimally neutralize it, where individuals come to a compromise? So all of that being said, the individual is the ultimate decider of their experience.
Yeah, true. I know when we do ceremony or something like that, especially if we enter onto a certain ground, everyone's held accountable for themselves spiritually, which means it's their respect, their honour, and their mind and spirit that will be reflected. And if they're not on their best behaviour, they will get the repercussions from it. And it's, yeah, I actually warn people, once we go past this line virtually, or this area, you're responsible for yourself. A lot of people chicken out because they haven't done that wholeness of work where there's respect in that in every fibre of their body. They're still kind of learning it, and they get nervous because they don't know what they're in for. So you usually don't take people like that. What about on your end? Like, is it selective who does ceremony? It would be, I suppose. Do you have, how do you use, how would you teach it? Like, what we would do is take an individual who we think has that level of respect, and take them in, and they'd be part of the ceremony, but it'd only be like one person. It wouldn't be publicly. And we have public ceremonies, like, and then private ones, which would be more like a ritual. Would that be, because the word ritual, as soon as I was looking at it for research, as soon as I hit the word, I looked for some pictures. All that come up were dark stuff. And I thought, why is ceremony attached to lighter stuff and with the word ritual attached to dark stuff? That's something I noticed. What do you
Well,
think?
that's really interesting because when the three of us were talking earlier this week, one of the things that brought to my attention about the topic of today is Jules was actually talking about her experience of losing her phone or misplacing her phone. And she
It was a
shared
time slip. It was a time slip.
and she explained about, after she leaves work and she comes home, that she has a ritual, and so a ritual, I would proclaim that a ritual may be something that is occurring on a regular cycle. However, the focus isn't involving their higher power, their creator, their God, their Allah, their Buddha. We say Gitchamanadu, the universal God, semantics, you know. So it's interesting if we think of the full spectrum of it. At one end would possibly be ritual, and the other end be ceremony. But then at what point does the ritual actually become the ceremony?
Yeah, that's where I found a bit of a blurry line, but the connotation is still one's light and one seems dark. We know, as people that walk the path, we know there is a dark and a light way of using things, but I just found it interesting when it's reflected back into the world, how they see it. You can say ceremony and they're like, oh yeah, and you say ritual and they're like, oh, hang on a minute. Where we, like you said before, there's a point where they sort of blur. I'll explain that, what's going on there in a minute, guys, on that thing. So yeah, it's a tricky thing when it's looked at from a worldwide point of view with many different what's the word, interpretations on the two words.
So I'm going to drop it in Jules' lap in a moment, but I myself just completed and forgive me for my hubris and ego, I just completed a 10-day liquid fast. Earlier this evening, I broke my fast, and it was to make up for my summer solstice fast that I attempted to start twice at the beginning of June. But due to the circumstances that I've been dealing with, the stress was just a little overwhelming, and fasting at the same time of very stressful things, because unfortunately I'm not in the situation of where I can get out into the woods and spend 10 days in the woods, and so I have to do these rituals right within the city limits. And being within the city, then you are dealing with all of the stimulation and distraction that comes along with the city. So I modified those ceremonies of fasting to work within the parameters that I have. And it is that ability to kind of go with the flow and to appreciate how change is constant, to figure out which is the best way to proceed forward in positivity. And now let's hear from Jules.
where do I jump in at? Positivity lately, I feel like for a lot of people has been hard. It just things are shifting and changing so fast. It's like we're I don't know if anybody else feels like me, but I mean, we're sane in an insane world, but still we hold it together. And I think I'm not saying it's beating us down, but it's definitely, in my case, by the end of the day, my energy level is just, it's down. But yes, but the story that you just wove there, Naysay, that was my entire day yesterday. I had to find the positivity in all those events. I mean, and I should have known when I arrived at my place of employment to open up. The alarm was set, but somebody forgot to lock the door. That set my tone for the rest of the day. And it ended up on a positive note. I had AC problems. I thought that I misplaced my phone, but didn't think I misplaced my phone and had that major time slip. And with all of that, it was a struggle. I was in the car on the way home from work, and it was like I felt like crying, but nope, I didn't. Just logically sat down, took a deep breath, and shifted my thoughts to something good. What? How do you get through this? And it's like you just do it. There are difficult things, and there are things that are a struggle, but when you put one foot in front of the other, it's still progress.
Absolutely, even if it is just micro steps, and definitely when it's micro steps towards your course or your dreams or your aspirations. And of course, every now and then we do need to take a step back, for many different reasons. A lot of times to reflect, is this the proper course? And sometimes there isn't going to be major negativity when you do change your course. There may be some disruption. It may even add a little bit more challenges, but that's that ability. If we think of a sphere and we're in the center of that sphere, well, look at the entirety of that 360 degrees in all directions for the possibilities of the course that we're on. And how do we adjust that course for the benefit of our own positivity? I like to think of the duck. When you see a duck on the lake, it looks all calm and cool and just gliding over the lake. But if you look underwater, its legs are just pumping like you wouldn't believe. But then also, when it rains, it's just water off a duck's back. And so as we're struggling, pumping our legs through the experience of life, when those little hiccups, those little speed bumps, those little challenges pop up, do we allow it to drag us to negativity? Or like you said, do we just go through it and just head straight for the positivity still?
I mean, there are things that I encounter, obstacles that pop up for me, and over the course of time, I've learned to walk up to it and embrace it, acknowledge it for what it is, and just go on, let things pan out the way that they will.
I find it like it's a wave, and if you can sit through the wave as quietly as possible and let everything around you bounce around, and what comes out of you just come out and bounce around, and you just sit there calmly and wait for the wave to go over, and then you can breathe again. That's how I find it. But we're human, and there are times we lose it. And having ceremony and that in your life helps you focus. I want to talk more about how it helps you, how the ceremony and that can help you, and the fact that whether we know it or not in our daily lives, we do little ceremonies and rituals. You just think about your own routine of your day or your week, even your year. You've got little ceremonies and rituals, because there's like graduation ceremony. You have citizenship ceremonies. We have, as I showed, I'll show you this. Oops, I might do one. Here we have a Celtic baby naming ceremony. So, and here we have an Aboriginal christening ceremony, where we pass the baby over the smoke, as opposed to probably pouring water on your head or having liquid there in this Celtic one that you can see up there. We pass the baby over the smoke and cleanse them, and they have their name already. And we have more than one name, as you know. So that's a ceremony. And in your daily life, oops, that's the wrong one. In our daily lives, I don't know, your coffee. There are Jules, getting up and making your routine coffee. That's like is that a ritual or a ceremony? That's more like a ritual. Well,
that is a ritual that's followed by a ceremony. I mean, waking up is a ceremony. Every morning, that's a ceremony that I appreciate. And then the ritual, I get up freakishly early just before I work, so I can ease into my day, so I can have my coffee and solitaire. And I was over level 2000 until I had to upgrade my phone, and that knocked me down to level 500. But I'm climbing back out. Yeah, I'm such a nerd. That's my routine, is getting up and playing rounds of solitaire to start my day. But it also, because I don't do the undo or cheat or anything, it helps my muscle memory in the morning. So when I'm looking at numbers, I'm keying in phone numbers and I'm computing, my brain's kind of already awake a little bit, and it's easier for me to jump right in.
So you're starting the crank rather early before the engine gets a revving.
Yep, I get up every morning to like check the equipment before the test fire goes off. I mean, but I also do a lot of other stuff in the morning, and it's just, I do it every morning, and by now it is a ritual.
I definitely would make a strong case that your morning coffee is definitely ceremony, though.
Well, then that will be second ceremony.
And I wonder what the people in the chat room thinks. Is it a ceremony or is it a ritual?
And speaking of people in chat room, I wanted to hijack the conversation a bit ago, but again, I'm having a hard time trying to get in here and chat with everybody. But can I give a shout out to everybody?
Please. That's
so
I'm just going to ease into that.
There's a cannabis resolution person in here. Hey, Polly. Hey, Buzz. Hi, Connie. Hey, Bet. Hey, Buzz again. If I'm in one of it's been a long day for me. Luna's morning is my night. I'm up at 5 a.m. and we come back here and do this, and it's like almost 9 o'clock. So if I'm a little bit loopy, it's because, tired and everything. But ooh, and there's a lovely Luna person in her chat room. Hey, Ruthie. And Joe, did I see you in here? I thought I did. Oh, hey, Joe. And yeah, so if I missed anybody, it wasn't intentional, but
Yeah,
You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here. We love having you guys come join us. It's like home for me.
It is. And as Jill said, it's her evening. It's NESES evening. It's probably your evening. It's for us in Australia, it's our morning. So I wake up with the half asleep face, and Jules goes to bed with the half asleep face. So you got us half asleep. No. So all right, ceremony ritual. Yeah, our daily rituals and ceremonies. Some people are really sticklers. They have everything set out for the day. Their whole day is set like a ritual. Their routine. Is routine really another word for ritual?
I think it would be in that semantics category.
Yeah.
Because in me personally, I find it hard to stick to a strict routine. Actually, when I was younger and had lots of kids, I had to stick to a rough routine, right? So I did it for so long. Now it's like I don't want to do it anymore. So,
what's the difference between a routine and a schedule? A schedule is a routine, but with critical deadlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're kind of like going through that full spectrum from one to the other with all of these, being part of the semantics of it all. And I would agree definitely that a schedule is something that is ran by the TikTok, which I don't believe a lot of people are super happy with that one. But unfortunately,
it's on the other side. Like when you get to the middle, so you got ritual, then your routine. I think as soon as you get to schedule, you've tipped over to the other side of the clock, and you're taken away the spiritual essence now because you're by the clock. It's estimated second. And then there's no time for that silence to hear that intuitive spirit come in that you're supposed to have with a ceremony or a ritual. That's how I feel. What do you reckon?
Well, today when I was going to break my fast, I had a few moments to utilize somebody's assistance to help me set up my altar and everything, and then prepare the food. And I informed this individual that, the moon rises around 3:45 today, and I'm very connected to the moon. So I wanted to use that as the starting point of my ritual ceremony, because when I started my fast, I started it at the moonrise on the new moon. And so this was my initiating point, but it wasn't set in stone, because while my friend is cooking food, they informed me it's 3:45, and I'm like, that's okay. That's what the clock says, so we're just going with it. And if we look at it historically, a lot of the indigenous people, when it comes to a clock, as we've talked about before, we have that giant clock of the sunrise and the sunset, and then we have the full moon and the new moon, and they have this intermittent dance between the sun and the earth and the moon. And for me to synchronize with those greater cycles, I find it more beneficial in tuning into things.
I did a ceremony once, and it was kind of time. It had a bit of a time limit. It was a couple of hours, but there was a lot to do. And like Jules, I had to get up really, really early to get there before anyone got there to set everything up, because I knew I was on a rough time limit. It's hard work, you know. Even, we'll simplify it, even filling your coffee machine and cleaning it out, filling it up, make sure it's ready to go for tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Depending on how sophisticated the coffee machine is, depends on how much work you have to do. I don't know. We need to explain. I feel we need to explain for some people the intricacy of a ceremony or a ritual in a.
Well, see, and I was actually just listening to you and Naysay Yarn, and I actually have a thought and maybe a question. So I'm listening to you guys yarn, and the whole routine, ritual, and ceremony. It's like routine is something that you do on a regular occurrence that's not time constricted. You just do it. It doesn't matter when it's done, but it's something that's done on a consistent basis. And then the ritual, I think, is something that you do by yourself. It's a singular individual or a singular thing, because like rituals, as far as, let's say you have a friend that visits from out of town and they have a favorite restaurant, and every time you catch up with this person, that's a ritual that you do. And then a ceremony, for me, it seems more group oriented, or more people oriented. I don't have the advantage that you and Naysay do of ceremonies. So I'm just my interpretation of this conversation is pretty much intuition and instinct and just what I feel. So, I mean, do you guys feel like that's a distinguish between a ritual, ceremony, and routine? Or am I just taking this on an individual level?
You're right there, Jules. Your intuition, and that is a really, really important part of ceremony and ritual. That's why here we only select certain people. They've got to have a level of that, as well as respect. You can't just bring someone in that's oblivious to those feelings, because it is a really intricate part of it. What do you reckon, Macy?
Well, as I just ritually hit my peace pipe, and any pipe filled with mushkiki is a peace pipe, PPP. But to go back earlier when you were talking about who is selected to do rituals, those that are head or in the top tier of individuals selected to do ceremonies, they would pay attention to the youngsters. And if they notice a gifted youngster, and they will take them under their wing and start teaching them the ceremonies and rituals, because they'll, more times than not, have a handful of individuals to perform a ceremony. So in the event something happens, for the ceremony to continue. When you were talking about like a rigidity, one thing that I believe, think, and feel, that most indigenous people, you find out that they had a accuracy like you couldn't believe about sunrise and sunset, and the moonrise and moonset, and full moon and new moon and eclipses. And so it was like, okay, the sun is coming over the horizon, start the ceremony or the ritual. That was that initiating point. And I ponder many times, if within your heart of heart that you are initiating something, that ignorance is tolerated to a point when doing a ritual and ceremony, because if the creator knows us individually inside and out, then would, and I have a challenge saying this because after I say it, I'll bring in the contrary, that if our intentions are positive, then do we get a pass? However, the cliche is the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. I think that's why sticking to what you've been taught and tradition and not stepping boundaries when you haven't got the go-ahead comes in. So it's kept on that path and it doesn't stray off. But what I found through time is inevitably, because we have to adapt and change, it does change. Like, how can I put it? I use, what can I use? I'll use here. Here's a good example. All right, traditionally we use ochre to paint our bodies for ceremony, but there's other alternatives these days, like face paint and stuff like that last all day. One day when we may possibly not be able to get ochre, we might have to use an alternative. So the intentions are still there, but the resources may change. Me personally, if I haven't got something proper, I won't do it. If I haven't got the proper stuff, I'm like, nah, I'm not doing it without the real stuff. But I've seen others change it. Where I do change, if I haven't got enough stuff to smoke, in that slide you see there is a smoking ceremony with gum leaves. We've all got different stuff that we use. But if I haven't got enough NESES, I actually put a bit of sage in there. A lot of us mob here will puff or fluff up our smoking stuff with sage because we see it as equal to what we have. And there's an adaptation there. Unless we traded with you a long time ago, which we did do trades, I don't, we haven't got a traditional sage, but we use it. A lot of us mob use it in this day and age, and we've adapted because you can't always get your preferred tribal mixture of what you have to smoke. So we adapt a little. Do you find that in your culture?
Well, there's a major misconception with a lot of people, even in the Anishinaabe realm or in the native world, that that pipe is utilized with tobacco. What I was taught, we utilize kinnikinnick, and kinnikinnick is a blend of plants with tobacco, and each family would have their own specific blend. And so as individuals would come together and sit down in a ritual, more times than not, were for people to smoke their pipes and share their blend. And
Right.
and so you could like identify, like if somebody would fill your pipe with the kinnikinnick and be like, oh, I got this kinnikinnick, try it out, then that individual could be like, oh, this is the Smith's blend, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And so at one time our pipes were together in one piece, that they were rarely ever taken apart. It wasn't until the creation of America where it was standard orders to kill pipe carriers. And at that moment is when they started separating the pipes because they were easier to hide.
Wow, didn't know that. No, sorry for that. Wow.
Well, what a better way to, destroy, smash a culture than to get rid of all of their semantics, holy people.
Well, I noticed in history that they destroyed a lot of, like they tried to break up your ceremonies. With us, mob here, we kind of hid. It was a bit harder for them to find us doing ceremony, and our ceremonies weren't as graceful as yours, so they were a bit scared. But I did notice in history that that's what they'd done. There was was it the ghost dance that they tried to break up, and they forbid you to dance? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, well, it was a resurgence of Native Americans, before the conquest west of the Mississippi. All of the natives were all getting shoved up against the Rocky Mountains, and it was getting to that point of where there was no more tolerance for it. And so the ghost dance started to be shared more and more. And that was a threat against the new America. And anytime there's a threat against the continuity of government, bang, bang, they shot me dead, bang, bang. And yeah, that's an incredible time because there was many massacres done by the cavalry against the indigenous people during that period of the 1800s.
Here, our initiation ceremonies, like for the young mob, like when the kids turn a certain age and they're initiated into adulthood and all that stuff, that doesn't happen anymore, hardly. It happens more out bush occasionally, because I've actually met some people in today's time that have gone through it, but not on the same scale as what it used to be, where every child went through a ceremony and they knew who they are. It told them that they were an adult now. It told them how to be an adult. It told them what was required of them, their place in society. And they came back to the mob knowing exactly what they had to do. That's been removed, and in today's society, and all our youngsters are all wild. Like, we're trying to get them back into some form. Like you have to say, it's just a thing across the world. We know that the young people don't have a way anymore. That's been taken off them. And I'll say this to everybody: did you have a time in your life where someone put their hand on your shoulder and said, today you become a woman or today you become a man? That simple act doesn't even happen much anymore. And if it has happened to you, you're very lucky. I do it when I see young people and I see that they're coming into adulthood. I whisper in their ear, well, today you become a man or today you become a woman, because I know that's lost. And that's a ceremony or a ritual, whatever form it comes in, that is very important for all of us. But that's one of the things that's lost now. Now, here in Australia, your initiation is go up the pub and get pissed and maybe get into a blue. That was the old way on the street in the old times when we were young. And now we're trying, our community's trying real hard to bring as much ceremony and old ways back so we can get some peace in our community. I find ceremony and that brings peace. It centers you, brings peace. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, Jules, if you didn't do your thing in the morning, you'd be all over the place all day. Hey, was that how it would feel to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
on mornings, those rare occasions when I oversleep and my day, it's out of whack. It definitely, I mean, it's a routine, a ritual I have been doing for at least 10 years.
It's ingrained. That's what happens. It's ingrained. And if you need to change it, you've got to go deep in and then change that.
So instead of doing my chores tomorrow, I'm going to do a ritual. I'm going to do my rituals tomorrow.
Is that why when I clean up, I get it done fast? Because it's more like a ritual. And it kind of is. I put my apron on, I tie my hair.
I mean, it sounds more positive when you say I'm gonna do my rituals tomorrow as opposed to my chores.
Yeah,
it's kind of like how it is for me when it's like, yeah, when I'm done with work today, I'm gonna go to the gym. I don't say it anymore. I mean, because I refer to it as physical therapy, and everybody's like, physical therapy? What's wrong? I didn't know you injured yourself. It's like, no, it's like I have to explain to them it's physical therapy for me, because after working a full day, do I really want to go work out?
But when you do you feel better, don't you?
Oh yeah, loads
Well,
better.
it's always exciting and rewarding when you accomplish your ritual, your task, your ceremony. And like Luna, when you're going to do your chores or when you're going to pick up, you were saying that you'll put your apron on, put your hair up. I myself, prepare also. However, I put on fishnet stockings and a French maid outfit.
Don't forget the feather duster. Oh, nice. But that's what I mean about every day. Look at your own day, and you'll see you'll have ritual and probably ceremony. Like some people go all out. I suppose, like some we're setting the dinner table. Some people go all out, and it's like a little ceremony, and they've got all the flashy stuff and flowers and everything. If your dinner table's that big, that's just an example.
When I was a child, we used to have that Sunday nights. Sunday nights, we ate at the dining table with the china, and that was something that my stepmonster and father regulated.
Yeah. So when we do, because we've got two different worlds here, we've got a traditional world and we've got our modern day world. In the modern day world, obviously the rituals and ceremonies we do achieve different things. What kind of things are they trying to achieve? Is it the same as what we used to do, or is it got some underlying meaning?
Well, as I was saying earlier about the overabundance of stimulation and distraction that we are bombarded with, to me, is kind of a no-brainer that the powers that should not be are trying to break us from rituals and ceremonies unless they are the rituals that they accept so that we do not become a threat to the continuity of the system.
Silence ring.
Yeah, when that happens, that means the truth bomb has been detonated.
Yes. Bing. I should have a sound thing. Bing. I got a bell.
Yeah, we need to get you a soundboard.
Yeah, I got bad. What is it? I'm technologically challenged. Technologically challenged.
I think it used to be tech-tarded, but I don't know if you're allowed to say that. So I guess it would be.
Yeah.
I guess it would be technically mentally retarded.
No,
Nice, eh?
I fall under that tech-tarded.
Yeah,
I was
right.
trying to come up with a clever, like, what can I do like they do with the flame retardant, and then nothing came out.
So let's talk about what kind of things we use. So we can look at both worlds. We can look at the coffee machine, the mop and the bucket. We can look at the leaves, the containers, the paint, the herbs that we use, and how essential of those things and what they mean. We're looking at a picture, a slide I found. I don't know where it's from. Sorry if it's your culture. It looks Native American. There's an Abyssinian spearhead. There's a shell for smoking. There's food. There's a mat with pine branches on it. And that looks, what is that? Is that a sword, Jules? What is that?
It looks like it looks like a knife or a cleaver or something.
Yeah, in a beaded pouch.
In a pouch.
All
And
I
it
know
looks like it's got some stuff covering the handle too, so like the handle has some kind of significance as well.
I know what this is for. It's an offering to Mother Earth. It's to respect and honour Mother Earth. That's what it's for. So they're giving the mother food and respect smoke. We work with smoke a lot in my mob. So I notice the difference between what you use, your mob uses, and what we use is very different, NESES. Because we just grab whatever and rip it off the tree. And we're very simple mob here. There's no beadwork or anything like that to honour our implements. And there might be a bit of paint or a carving or a little bit of leather wrap. And that's about it. Whatever you're holding in your hand is what it is. There's hardly any decoration. As opposed to the Native Americans that decorate everything, which I think is beautiful because it adds intent to the ceremony. And we had a comment earlier from someone in the chat room about intent. So
well, if you look at a lot of indigenous people and you see all of these beautiful craft work that they do for their ceremonial tools and clothing, it makes me reflect on when you are making those tools, when you are adorning it with your focus and your intent, would you not then be adding your energy into that tool, thus elevating that energy for the ritual and ceremony?
yeah, that's what happens. I just got spun off onto a different rail then because I was doing too much technical things.
So in that assumption, if we took a penny and put it in a specific spot, and every day at a certain time, we would go up to that penny, and with our pointer finger, we would put our finger on old Abe Lincoln, and we would intent our love, positivity into that penny, and continue to do that ritually, that it becomes so ritually that it is ceremony. Would we not, by assumption of the practice, increase the energy of that penny?
Yeah, you busted me, NESES, because I've actually done that. But it's not, it's for the banks. I save up 5-cent pieces and I put them in a container. I'm going to show you actually. This is for the bank. And when I go to the bank, I leave it there. When I'm on my own, I don't do it when other people are with me because they get embarrassed. And I'll leave it there and I go, this is for your money, God. And here it is. It's in a little kangaroo pouch. as you can see, and I'll show you it's full, chock-a-block full of these 5-cent pieces for the money gods for the bank and people. If I meet people that are like real AOs and their whole world's money, I'll real pleasantly go, here you go, and they go, what's that? And I go, that's for your money god.
A ritual, I guess, I have for the banks is every month when I write, well, I don't write my checks, but I sign my checks for all the bills. And then at the bottom of the check, right in the middle of it, I will rip it 1/4 of an inch and crinkle one of the edges of the fold or the rip, because I was told checks that are ripped and they don't notice it and they run it through their readers jam up the readers.
Yeah, right. Oh, oh dear, they know now, by the way.
Secrets out.
Counting out your
And
money.
NESES didn't even charge you guys $19.99 for that one.
Oh no, well, that was
I was going to save that. I was going to save that $19.99 for the pictures of me in a Swedish maid outfit.
that's right. Don't forget that. Don't forget the feather duster. Yeah, that's funny. Counting out your money, like for money lovers, they count their money out. That's a ritual and a ceremony for them. You know, I saw that too. Depends what world you live in. We all do ritual and ceremony. Depends what world you live in to what you're doing and how it's done. What I'd be asked. Go. Sorry, Nose.
Have you ever been to Catholic services?
Yeah.
A long time, but I have been.
Yeah, talk about ceremony and rituals and.
Tell me about it. Yeah. First time I went, I was a young girl. I walked in there and I looked around and I went, "Oh, they're doing magic." I recognised it straight away, and I didn't want to go in there. And my mum, because she was brought up a Catholic, devout Catholic. She's else anyway. She's like, "You're a heathen," and I went, "But I want to go outside. That's Crowder's real church, the grass and the sky." And she called me a heathen, but now she doesn't. She understands the more traditional.
Well, it's interesting because when I went, I've been to Catholic church a few times in my existence, and one time I was there early, and one of the first things they do, I think it's called the Icarus, which is like this ball that's on these chains, and they fill it with herbs. I think it's frankincense and myrrh and some other stuff, and they burn it, and then they will swing it to and fro and walk around the church.
Yep, that's when I recognised what they were doing. I saw that and went, "Oh, I know what they're doing. Can't anyone else see that?"
Well, I mean, if we look historically of, religions, spirituality, we can, I believe, easily find where it has transformed from the earliest times.
Yep.
Or civilizations.
What got me, like, I'm not dissing anyone's belief or anything, because I'm a great believer. If it works for you, keep doing it. But when I saw that in the Catholic Church, I realised they had kind of a forked tongue, because on one hand they're saying don't do this and don't do that, it's bad, and then they're doing it.
Well, that is the challenge of what they call humans, and we can always find a reason, justification, excuse to do what we do or not do. And one of them that frustrates me is when I hear somebody, "Oh, I'm only human," but that is the curse of our species, that we have that challenge when the choice of positive and negative are are in front of us, we don't always make the best choice. And so I do not believe that the church, whether, whatever religion, Buddhism, Hinduism, Hebrews, Catholicism, Shinto, all of them, yours in Australia, the Anishinaabes, I don't think the structure of the spirituality or religion is in its intent evil or negative. It's the individuals that perform the rituals and ceremonies proclaiming to be all of that in a bag of chips, to be a hot chit on a silver platter, but then they end up being chicken squat on a paper plate.
Yeah, that's up to them, whatever they want to eat. There's something I learned, like that. What is it? That old saying, it's not my monkeys, not my circus. You do your own thing.
And I've recently found out that the reptilians really love my my little metaphor allegory about accepting other people. I don't have a challenge if you bury an egg on sunrise on a new moon and then you dig it up on sunset on a full moon and pray over it all night until midday the following day. A lizard hatches out of that egg, and then at the midnight you lick that lizard. And if that is what it takes for you to be a positive entity, then lick the lizard, not the reptilians.
Yeah, that's what I meant before about whatever you believe, if it works for you, stick to it. Because if you're meant to do something else or believe some other way, it'll come to you from within, not for someone to come up and go, oh, I think you're believing and doing this wrong, you should be doing this. I find that really rude. I never go to someone and go, your religion's not right, you're supposed to be believing and doing this. As much as I believe myself what I do is right, I can't put that on someone else. That's their choice. If they come and ask me and go, I really understand what you're doing, I want to understand it more and learn more and walk that path, I'm going to go, yeah, okay, come with me. I'm still not going to impose nothing on them because I'm going to make them do most of the work because they're the one that don't want it. And it's a personal inner thing, I feel, what you believe and stuff. Unfortunately, when you're young and unless you're probably either brought up in a religion or you want to look for one, it's like going to a dress shop and going, okay, what kind of clothes you got? Well, we've got this one here where you're all covered up. We've got this one here where you don't wear it. It's like buying choosing one. It shouldn't be like that. But that's how we're taught. Here's your preferences of religion. Notice a lot of the native religions aren't up there because are our beliefs religion? Would you say they're religion? They say, Jules. Would you say native beliefs are religion or just beliefs or knowing? What's a good right word? Because here in Australia, when they ask you what your religious denomination is, I just put Dreamtime, which isn't really.
That's fairly accurate. I mean, as far as religion and beliefs, they're kind of, I see them as separate things because it's beliefs are what you believe in, your personal moral compass. For at least, I can't speak for everybody, but for me, that's what beliefs are. It's something that motivates me. It's something that I believe in, that I don't feel it or see it, but it's there. There is a spark of something inside me that makes me believe that this is part of the truth on my moral compass. But the religion aspect brings that dogma to it. So I mean, and again, I'm not speaking for everybody. I'm speaking for myself.
Yeah. What about you, NESES?
Again, I think we deal with semantics, and you know, my ceremony rituals is, I guess, my spirituality and my religion. You know, because I've said it before, I'm a practicing Anishinaabe, and there's times when I want to roll down the street with my pipe and my drum and my rattle and go door to door and say, "Hey, have you heard the word of Gitchimanadu?"
Yeah, I've got to say, I've seen people who feel like, hey, come here, you need smoking. Or you know, you should go and watch the sunset or the sunrise or something. Yeah, yeah, it's a bit like that, but I don't do it, like I said, unless they come. And that's the difference. We're up on the hour now, and I need to Jilua. Does anyone want to go grab a drink or something quickly for a minute?
I'm yawning. I would love to pause for a wee bit and go grab just one more cup of coffee.
Okay, I'm going to leave you with something to look at and a little bit of ditch music, and we'll be back in 1 minute.
We'll be right back.
Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Hey, we got some weird music sometimes, eh? That's our Didge. Vibrating. Where are we? How you doing, Jules? Everyone right? Yep.
Yep.
Feels much better. Okay. So, anything else you want to say before we move on to the flower of love? Which, actually, I'm not really prepared for, but neither of us are. No one is. NESES not back yet. That's okay. I can hear that. Whenever I hear that,
I'm not back. I'm front.
oh, okay. I'm back.
I was just getting ready to ask how everybody's doing in chat. Love you guys. Can't chat with you, but I see you. Appreciate you.
Oh, there is one thing I wanted to add to. Polly made a comment in the chat, and an absolute yes. We are absolutely able to learn from younger entities if we are willing to let our ego go to see the lessons to be taught.
I would agree.
I'm trying to find that. I'm trying to find the comment. I like to put them up for everyone. So, you know, I'd have everyone talking to us on the show if they want to. Hey, there's that cannabis resolution guy.
Yeah.
I wonder if that chat from last week's going to come back. Alan, what's his name? The platypus?
Oh, yeah. I remember him. Oh, we got Bernays. G'day, Bernays.
Hey, Bernays.
Platypus. I forget what was he? Yeah, I just remember the platypus.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Alan got talked into it from his coworkers to get the shot in the dark, and so he's not feeling good at the time.
Oh, that's sad. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, so look what we got here. Flower of life. Really interesting. We're going deeper. And would the flower of life have anything to do with ceremonies and stuff like that? I think it does.
I think it does.
Because checking this out, the patterns and the movement and the flow, it reminded me a lot of ceremonies of dancing and stuff. And whenever I hear a didge in that, I just want to start dancing. That's what I was doing in my break. Yeah, just show, and the circles, like infinite circles. NESES got another way of saying it. It just rings something that, you know, the flower of life and what our traditions, our ceremonies and rituals are entwined in it somehow. I haven't really looked into it.
I've got a little bit pulled up on it. It's a series of overlapping circles that can build outward, forming a flower-like grid, and all geometric forms can be found within it. It's used as a blueprint for more complex sacred geometry shapes like Metatron's cube and Merkaba.
Oh, I've heard of Merkaba. Funny word to use for that, for shapes like that, but I understand it, but not by the name. Is there any more?
Yeah, it's the representation of it is the meaning behind the flower of life is a symbol that's believed to represent the cycle of creation. It's solid. The solid in turn contains 4 or 5 of the platonic solids. The meaning of the flower of life symbol is that the whole creation of life and everything around us in the universe.
Yeah,
there are countless interpretations of the meaning of the flower of life, but all have one thing in common: the interconnection of life and spirit as part of the infinite festivity of the universe. The spiritual significance of the flower of life can be intensely experienced in temples or monasteries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that pattern in the old buildings and stuff, they use it because this is what, when the wind blows through, it makes a sound, right? That's why they used all them geometrical patterns over the buildings. And on the slide in front of you, I'll explain it for NESES. We've got 3 pictures of the flower of life. The first one has root notes, and they're, I don't know a lot about music, but the root notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and they're placed at the center of all the flowers. And then we have both the scale notes, which are all over the flower, and there's a lot of question marks on there, and that suggests to me that there's music we haven't heard yet. And are they minor? Because I don't know music and NESES can't say, Polly, this is where we need you to explain the musical notes to us. And it just shows you music as opposed to the flower of life, because I know for a fact if you sing or play music to a plant, they grow like heaps better because they're attuned to it somehow. Same in our ceremonies and stuff, we have some form of music, even if it's just two pieces of wood played together. It's in there as well. So, do you want to say anything about that, Jules? And I know you can't see it, NESES, but you know a bit about music and the notes, and you've got both. Are they minor? I think they're minor notes. They've got root notes, scale notes, and both of them overlaid together, and it fills in the flowers. The way
Yeah,
they've made.
I'm not I can't read music and I'm not versed, but the scale notes are like flat or sharp. So if those are flat and sharp, and then they merge with like the root notes, music is vibration. Vibration is all around us. It's constant energy. We connect with that constant energy everywhere we go.
Polly's just said it goes further than that. Harmonics and overtones and feedbacks. Or there's something like.
I mean, and by no means. I mean, I'm not like a musical genius or anything. That's just looking at that and realizing what they are. I'm just piecing my own information together.
Yeah, me neither. Thanks for that, Polly. It helped me understand it. Because when I don't understand something, I just put it to something that I do understand. It reflects back to me. So spiritually, I'd see the different forms of energy and how they'd flow together, and how it feeds back to you, and the sound it makes together. So I can kind of understand that. Thank you, Polly.
Well, if everything is fields, then all of these intricacies, like the Platonic solids or harmonics, frequencies, they're all of each other. So it's universal. And in all of these cycles, these rituals, these ceremonies, is the circle. And as you look at the flower of life, a symbol that has been found on every continent, that it's the intricacy of all of these circles within circles. And if you remember last week, I believe we brought up about how the circle is the representation, the two-dimensional representation of the sphere. So now, if you could think of that flower of life as an intricacy of spheres, and it will also show a reflection of cell mitosis, where in this experience, the spermatozoa finds the egg and the big bang occurs and mitosis occurs with cell division. And so there's also in that flower of life a parallel to that cell division, especially if you look at it as the beginning of life or the incubation of a entity within the uterus womb, where the outer rings would be the shell of the egg, and within the egg the mitosis occurs, and 9 months later.
Yep, and if you have a look at the slide there, right smack bang in the middle, it'll show you exactly what NESES was just talking about. That was intuitive. Yeah, I sat here last night and then just intuitively, upstairs just said to me, put whatever pings to you, put it up there. This pinged to me, and then I'm glad it did because NESES was on the ball. So
yeah, it's the perfect way to have the egg of life, the seed of life and the flower of life in stages all coming together.
I love this slide. It's got everything we're talking about. I think the one above that there with the wiggly lines goes to, it looks like harmonics to me. Just the flow it has, like it's too, like the snake flow and that, it just looks like they've drawn harmonics in the flower there. But the egg one, what NESE was saying, the infinite circles, look at that, they all form a flower. That is amazing.
Well,
and
the other thing that's interesting is the flower life, how it reflects to the tree of life, and most people don't even realize it. But in elementary school, they played on the tree of life, but the game was called hopscotch.
Oh, true. I love hopscotch.
If you hopscotch grid,
wow.
when it is folded up,
your phone's buzzing out there, NESE. Is it getting hot?
Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, no.
It's okay.
All right, give me a moment. I might jump in on my other device.
Yeah, okay. It lasted 1 hour. 1 hour and 26 minutes, if only, before it heats up and blows up.
I'll write that down for future reference.
This message will self-destruct in 10 seconds.
Warning, warning. This message will self-delete.
Okay, so flower of life. What else have I got here we can look at? Well, NESE is coming back.
Yeah, so do you have a favorite ceremony or ritual? Or, well, routine. Everybody has their own things like that.
Yeah, I do. I try. Oh, gee, that's a question, Jules. Far out. Whoops. Gee. Gee, you put me on the spot. Bing! My most favourite. It's hard to say because it doesn't matter what I do when I come back, I feel fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, when we were talking about incense earlier, it just I showed some incense that I'm currently burning because I definitely in the past couple of months I've started burning incense again on a routine basis. And it definitely has made a difference. I mean, there are things that I definitely will push.
Yes. Yeah.
If I can sell it, I will. I mean,
well, funny, yeah, I do that.
It's energizing. I'm using a lot of celestial incense, and if I had to guess what the sun would smell like, that would be a good representation, or what the galaxies would smell like.
Oh, that's nice. Actually, talking about that, I do. When no one's home and I'm the only one home, I will take that time to do exactly that. I'll get something that smokes, whether it be incense or leaf or mixture.
Yeah, but incense, it's very, it's sacred in rituals enough that there are several different kinds of incense out there. You have powder incense that you get it, you collect it, and you just basically pile it on and pack it down and light it up, and right there it just burns in the spot. You can make patterns with it. Then the indigenous people, they use a lot of resin incense.
Yeah.
And it burns. It's a little bit more sweeter. It's a little bit more woodsy. It burns differently. I wonder if there's anything the way the wood burns, the way the smoke swirls, if that that's it. All plays into everything.
It does
And
in our
then
culture.
there's charcoal incense. There's incense made out of sawdust. And then it's not just limited to, I would say, with incense, scented oils. They can invoke the same relaxation and vibes and everything with that. And then a candle. There's a lot of things that all come into play with the ritual, with the personal ritual that, and with others, join you celebration of something, and it's a ceremony.
Yeah, you're right there, Jules. Because for those people that are asthmatic and can't handle the smoke, you can burn oils, essential oils, and fill your house with the smell, because that also will help shift the energy in your house. What was I going to say? Yeah, so if you're an asthmatic, go to herbal oil smells. You can get exactly the same stuff. You can even get eucalyptus or everything, exactly the same, but just in oil form. I was going to say something about the smoking. It slipped my mind, but we got NESES back now. We're talking about incense. Oh, the incense.
But smoking and smudging, with the similarities and the differences.
Same, because this is how I do. I work with both. If I'm healing someone, I'll call what you say smudging. It's more of a personal, close-in thing. And some of the pictures you saw, our smoke's more communal, so we'll put a smoking log in the ground or someone's carrying it, and they will go, everyone will go past it, or the person will go to them, and they do their own personal smoking, you know, clean the head and the heart, whatever, turn around. Oh, that's what I was going to say about the smoke. Yes, you're right, because in our culture, the way the smoke moves, right, will tell you a lot. So in our smokings, an individual will walk up to the smoking, and you'll see the smoke shape shift straight away to their whatever it is they need. It might wind around their head or up around their legs. Like, it'll change to each individual. So yes, you're right, Jules. The way the smoke moves is very, very important. If you can watch it and listen to what it says, it'll tell you a lot of stuff. But yeah, I don't see a lot of difference in smoking and smudging. What do you think, NESES, between smudging you do and smoking how we do?
When I'm smudging, I'm usually using sage, cedar, sweetgrass, and tobacco. When I'm smoking, I prefer to use indica.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. It took a second there. Yeah, I get it.
However, when I am using my ceremonial pipe, I do use kinnikinnick, and I don't put mushkiki in my pipe, even though I'm so tempted to go down to Pipestone, Minnesota, and getting a chunk of pipestone and carving my own pipe specifically for my favorite mushkiki.
I was fortunate enough to get a sliver of that pipestone and have it sent over here for me. And something I noticed about it doesn't matter where you put it, it's always cool. The stone is actually cool all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. So that's pretty sacred to me that I got a piece of that. I want to say about the incense. In Japan, their incense is different. You know, it comes in little sticks, but not the ones we're used to, where it's a long stick and it's packed on. There is no wooden stick in it. It's just a little stick of total incense, and their holders are really tiny. And my older brother lived in Japan for a very long time. You'd think he was Japanese. Anyway, he said they got rooms over there that they pay a lot of money to go into, and the incense in there is so old that people pay just to go in there and smell the room, like to smell it. They close the room up and you pay just smell it. And I understand the spiritual aspect of that, because the smell and the cleaning of your skin as the smoke goes over from something that's really, really old, from the ancient, like, from the very respected days, how it would make you feel and cleanse your energy and bring you up to a higher level. I could understand that. Whether I'd pay a lot of money to do that, I don't know. What is it, $19.99 or $9,000? 99 cents? No. Yes, I thought that was interesting.
1999.
Japanese incense.
Well, and
yeah.
I do strongly suggest to individuals, when they're going out there and looking for rituals and ceremonies and direction, do your due diligence, because if someone's going to come at you right away with a cost, then trust your instincts, all of it, your heart, your gut, and your head. Trust them all. And if at least 2 out of 3 say then that's, I think, a safer answer. Because as I joke a lot about, if you, for $19.99, I'll be your many sins man. And I do have a challenge with that word, medicine man, only because my elder told me that if anybody proclaims themselves to be a medicine man or woman, then they're not. So,
and here I am thinking you were gonna have a problem with being referred to as a man, and you wanted to be called person.
I thought you wanted to be called a medicine woman. No, I'm joking.
Well,
it's funny. People tried to label me with that.
Technically, in the political correctness, I guess it would be called medicine citizen.
I would rather be called a person than a citizen. Citizen just sounds so dooming.
Citizen, what was that movie? Citizen Kane.
Welcome to the new world order.
No, we're people. We're people. Do you want to talk about some more flowers or
order in the court? I think some farted. Oh yeah, I wanted to get into the Platonic solids.
Oh yeah, that's your area. Yeah, I'd like to know a bit more about that. Sacred geometry. Yeah, let's have a look.
Maybe if nimble fingers can pull up the Platonic solids.
I've only got sacred geometry. I think I did a Slack today. It does say unprepared.
And I do strongly suggest, I think for only like $3 to $10, you can get a compass and get a piece of paper and a compass and play around, because it's very meditative.
That's different. I used to have a compass when I was a kid.
I didn't. I guess that's why I'm perpetually lost.
I think I had a compass until I learned how to tell north, south, east, and west from the trees and nature, and then I haven't got a compass anymore. So I'm challenging myself.
Oh, I'm talking about the other kind of compass.
Oh, all right. I'm going to put I haven't got much
for drawing.
Oh, that kind of compass. I thought you meant a north, south, east, west. Okay. Silly me. All right. I've only got a few pictures of sacred geometry. Unprepared.
Well, and that's what's so interesting about the flower of life, that within the flower of life you can find these platonics. And when you look at the Platonic solids and the mathematics of Platonic solids, if you take all of the edges and you calculate them together, they resonate at a frequency. And when you, oh, dang it, I can't remember what it's called. Maybe someone in the chat might know it. When they put a bunch of sand on a plate and then they vibrate the plate at a frequency, and it creates these beautiful, intricate patterns. And that's what happens, that when you calculate, if you calculate the Platonic solids, and then you type in that frequency to that plate, interesting enough, it creates these beautiful, intricate symbols or patterns.
Were you asking me, Nese,
and
what?
Even more strangely,
oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Were you asking that the 5 types?
I was just gonna ask you to. Yes.
Yeah. The 5 types are the tetrahedron, the cube, the octahedron, the dodecahedron, and the and the icosahedron. And that has 20 triangular faces.
And it's interesting that way back in the day of Pythagoras, you could be murdered if you were heard to say dodecahedron in public.
What?
Because it was part of there's actually in the historical records a individual that was drowned because he was sharing the sacred teachings in public. Talk about the secrets within the dodecahedron.
Well, I came across this statement that says Platonic solids are the building blocks of all existence, including spiritual realities. They encapsulate our understanding of the universe. Platonic solids appear in sacred geometry. An example is a flower of life, which can be seen in many ancient cultures in Egypt, Peru, Great Britain, Israel, and many more.
Rufi here had a good
I'd
point.
agree with that.
Rufi in the chat room said you can bring the formation of crystals into this. Yes, you can.
Yep.
And that's probably why they come alive, because of the energy, the sound, and the formation. I heard the other day that if you put a crystal in a vise in a dark room and squeeze it, that it'll glow. I don't know if it's true, and I wouldn't do that to my crystals. But it squeezes out the energy, it sounds like.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So would you say that if we looked at somebody spiritually, at their energy, it would look something like those shapes? I don't see it like that, but some people would.
You're breaking up on me now.
I'm breaking up on you now.
And
sound test.
Check.
1, 2, 3.
Luna, I can hear you. I can hear you good.
Yeah,
Nese, can you say something?
We lost NESES.
Ah.
Sounds broke up. We're only 15 minutes away to 2 hours anyway, so we'll round this up soon. Oh, no, we don't want that one.
He's back.
Oh, look at you, Buster. I can't see me. I'm eating a banana. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't get breakfast and I need to eat. Tune up that. Yeah, I'm terrible. I don't think I could fast, you know.
I don't intend to, but I do my portion of fasting.
Yeah, I do, like when I go out and I don't eat all day. I suppose that's called fasting. Then I come home and I'm hungry.
Stick with what works. I mean, go for the banana. I mean, they're going extinct. Enjoy it while you got them.
All right. No, so I'm going to kick out that one. How can we get rid of him? Hang on. And there you are.
Am I back again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm working on my mobile device and my computers aren't set up right now.
And this is NESES. Is it NESES? How you going, NESES?
I'm not 100% sure who I am.
Yeah, you would never have seen the platypus fellow, would you?
No, unfortunately, all the things that I've seen are just beyond my comprehension. And if I listen to all of the voices in my head, I'm going to be really confused.
Yeah, I think we all would. So the flower, all right. So we're rounding up now.
Yeah, I wish I could talk more about the sacred geometry, but as long as you guys have known me, you know I don't do mass.
Yeah, me neither. I mean,
I can do mass, but especially no mass on weekends.
that's funny. That's funny. Bing, bing. Where's my sound thing? Bing. You got that one, Jules? Okay. So that I just got the slide up there. That's a fern, obviously, and that's.
I was going to ask you what that was.
Yeah,
it was very unique, and I like the symbology. It looks like a snowflake.
Yeah, it's a baby fern uncurling with dew on it. It's just nature. See, all these symbols are like, for me, I can't talk about these symbols much. I see shapes in nature, and I relate in a different way. I've never actually had to speak about it, but I understand it. And sometimes I draw it in my art, but yeah, I haven't spoke about it a lot. And I think we as people need to be more like nature and form these shapes within ourselves and around us and with each other, if that makes sense at all.
Yes. Well, if there's one thing that I have noticed in my 55 years of experience, that technology is doing everything that it can to mimic nature. You know, yes. And even in the buzzwords that are being prominently used nowadays, you know, you can totally see how the buzzwords correlate with computer programming and with computer vocabulary. You know, downloading, programming, you know, quantifying, you know, in a virtual reality.
Dimensions. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. That's the language I use for it. Makes me laugh. We're looking at a dandelion, and up close, the dandelion is the flower of life.
Yep.
Because each little thing joined together.
And the whole plant of the dandelion can be eaten.
And it can, and the root of the dandelion is really good for your kidneys and bladder and lungs.
Yeah, about a year ago, I came across a dandelion that was just one lone dandelion that was about 4.5, about 4 feet tall.
Wow.
It was huge.
Wow. So there you go, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our night. Do you want to let's remind us anything else that we want to say to add to tonight's
Well,
today?
I mean, I was just thinking, looking at the picture of the dandelion, it got
Yep.
me thinking, how many times in pop culture do we see sacred geometry, the flower of life? The one thing that looking at that immediately pops in my head is the spaceship Earth at Epcot. It looks just like that. That dome that has that's what that reminds me of. That sacred
Buckminster
geometry.
Fuller.
Say what?
Buckminster Fuller. I think he was the designer of the Epcot Center, and he was all way into sacred geometry, and he was way into dome homes, geodesic domes.
And why am I remembering or wanting to think that that Bradbury was with something to do with Epcot as well, Spaceship Earth?
Oh, Ray Bradbury.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he was hobnobbing with a lot of them.
So I guess that's another topic for another day.
Yeah,
Throw that into the shopping bag. We might check out with that item later.
yeah, because
And
I
in
don't
the
know.
chat room, please, if the chat room has any ideas that topics or subjects they'd like us to touch upon,
Yeah, let
with
us know.
permission.
Let us know. Let us know if you want
Oh
to talk
yeah,
about something specific.
and
Yeah.
let me whore myself. Please like, share, and subscribe.
That was Nizze. Like, share, and subscribe. Oh, that's up to you. If you like it, you will. If you don't, you won't. Everyone's free. Okay. Well, I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have too. I came here with nothing to bring, and I feel gluttonous for leaving with more than I came with.
No, that's good. I hope you left
Yeah,
with.
this was very, very interesting, and I have learned some things. I mean, respect and positivity, and keep moving forward, and do these little things that are your rituals, your routine that carry you through the day and make you just come centered and calms you down and connects you to your spirit, that connects to the energy within the earth, that connects with the cosmos. And then you visit that in dream time. It's all this conversation has been it's definitely exceeded what I came here expecting.
Cool.
And thank you both for yarning with me.
Thank you, Jules, as usual, for coming on. Thank you, Nase. I could talk more about respect and in our culture and right up to the fine details. We don't touch no one stuff. Talk forever, but that will do another show because we're up to 2 hours. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Hope you come back. Thank you, Nase. Thank you, Jules. Is there anything you want to add to that, Nase? Before we
Pegish, Minobima Diziwe Wiyan, share the giggles, get that pineal gland squirting. And if you can find the strength within love without fear to overcome the challenges, try to share that experience with others, because maybe your experience can help somebody else go through their experiences. And if you are having challenges tapping into the energy, the power, the universe, then give us a call. Get a hold of us, because I'm sure all of us would be humbled in assisting you find love or positivity. Miigwech.
Yay. And I'll just add walk in peace and gratitude and Love to you on this day. Creator loves you. Thanks, Jules. Thanks, NESES. We'll go out with some ditch. And
Thank you, chat room.
yeah, thank you everyone in the chat room. I hope to see you next
Thank you
week.
everybody for coming.
Thank
It's
you
been a
for
blast.
watching, listening. Yep, and hopefully we'll all get back and do it next week. So yalu, see ya.
Yalu.
Love to you.